Greetings to all the knowledge seekers out there. Welcome to our thought-provoking journey. Today, we'll be exploring the fascinating world of literature, diving into a classic gem, The Garden Party, by Katherine Mansfield. This intriguing story is a wonderful blend of social commentary, emotional depth, and vivid imagery, all woven together in Mansfield's unique narrative style. In the coming minutes, we'll shed light on the story's setting, characters, and plot, followed by an in-depth analysis and interpretation of the key themes and symbols. We'll also provide a concise summary and wrap up with a thought-provoking conclusion. Whether you're a student studying this text, a literature enthusiast, or simply a curious mind, this journey promises to be an enriching experience. So prepare yourself for a deep dive into the nuances of The Garden Party. Buckle up as we delve into the intricate world of The Garden Party. The story starts on a beautiful summer day at the Sheridan's residence. Picture a bustling, lively household excitedly preparing for an upcoming garden party. The air is filled with a sense of anticipation and joy. The Sheridans, a well-off family, are the central characters of our tale. Mrs. Sheridan, her husband, and their 4 children, Laura, Lori, Meg, and Jose. The preparations for the party are a spectacle in themselves. Imagine marquee tents being set up, tables laden with delicious food, flowers adorning every corner, and the sound of laughter and chatter filling the air. But amidst this joyous chaos, there's Laura, the protagonist, who is deeply involved in the preparations, yet somehow detached, displaying a sensitivity towards the workers setting up the party. As the preparations for the party are in full swing, a tragedy occurs in the neighborhood. The festive atmosphere takes a somber turn as news of a neighbor's death reaches the Sheridans. A wave of melancholy washes over the scene as the reality of life's fragility abruptly intrudes upon the party preparations. The tragic news arrives like an unwanted guest, disrupting the jovial mood. A worker from the neighborhood, a simple man living a stone's throw away from the opulent Sheridan residence, has unexpectedly passed away. The stark contrast between life and death, celebration and mourning, privilege and poverty, is suddenly laid bare. Our protagonist, Laura, a young woman on the cusp of adulthood, is deeply affected by this news. She is not just startled, but profoundly moved. Laura carries a heart that beats with empathy and humanity, a heart that feels the pain of others. The news of the man's death strikes a chord within her. It's as if the tragedy has suddenly made her aware of the world beyond her family's luxurious garden. Laura's instinctive reaction is to halt the party. After all, how can one celebrate in the face of such a tragedy? How can they feast and make merry while their neighbor's house is steeped in mourning? The mere thought of it seems grotesque and inhuman to Laura. However, the rest of the Sheridan family doesn't quite share Laura's sentiments. To them, the worker's death is nothing more than a minor inconvenience, a small hiccup in their grand plans. Their indifference to the tragedy is starkly apparent, clashing with Laura's empathetic response. This indifference from her family plunges Laura into a deep moral dilemma. Should she adhere to her family's dismissive attitude and proceed with the party, or should she follow her heart, stand up for what she believes is right, and call off the celebration? Laura's empathy contrasts with the indifference of her family, pushing her into a moral dilemma. As we delve deeper into the story, we'll see how this dilemma plays out, and how it shapes Laura's character, forcing her to question the values she has been raised with, and ultimately leading her to a profound realization about life, death, and the human condition. Despite the tragedy, the party goes on and Laura embarks on an unexpected journey. The Sheridans, determined not to let the death of a neighbor ruin their lavish affair, proceed with the party. The garden is alive with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. The aroma of delicious food fills the air, and the vibrant colors of the flowers are a sight to behold. Laura, however, is not entirely at ease. The death of the young man, a stranger yet a neighbor, weighs heavily on her. As the party progresses, she finds herself increasingly detached from the merriment around her. The stark contrast between the joyous celebration in her garden and the sorrow in a house just down the road is too much for her to ignore. In a surprising turn of events, Laura decides to visit the house of the deceased. A decision that is met with shock and confusion by her family. But Laura is resolute. She feels a deep-seated need to show some form of respect, to offer a gesture of condolence. Upon arriving at the house, Laura is confronted with a reality vastly different from her own. The poverty, the grief, the raw humanity of it all is overwhelming. She is taken to see the young man, lying in his coffin looking peaceful. This encounter strikes a chord within her. The sight of the lifeless body, the utter stillness of it, forces her to confront the reality of death. This visit proves to be a transformative experience for Laura. It deepens her understanding of life's fragility and the inevitability of death. She realizes that beneath the superficial differences of wealth and status, we are all bound by the same fate. But despite this newfound understanding, she finds herself unable to articulate her feelings. The words escape her, and all she can muster is a vague, "Isn't life?" The sentence hangs in the air, unfinished, much like her thoughts. Laura's experience at the deceased's house deepens her understanding of life and death. She is left with a profound sense of empathy, a renewed perspective, and questions that will continue to linger in her mind. The story is much more than a tale of a garden party and a tragic death. As we delve deeper into the narrative, we discover the prevalent themes that Mansfield intricately weaves throughout. The first theme that stands out is class consciousness. The Sheridan family, living in their highbrow world, are blithely ignorant of the harsh realities of life outside their bubble. This is starkly highlighted during Laura's encounter with the lower-class Scott family. Mansfield paints a vivid picture of the class divide, making it a key element of the narrative. The second theme is the coming of age, personified through Laura. We see her transition from a naive girl to an empathetic young woman who begins to question the societal norms she's been brought up with. Her encounter with death, and the stark contrast between the opulence of her garden party and the somber reality of the Scots' home, triggers a profound change in her perspective. This brings us to the third theme, the stark contrast between life and death. Mansfield masterfully juxtaposes the vibrancy of the garden party with the grim reality of the Scots' predicament. One moment we're immersed in the frivolity of the party, the next we're plunged into the harsh reality of mortality. This contrast serves to make Laura's transformation all the more impactful. Throughout the story, Mansfield employs a variety of symbols to accentuate these themes. The garden party, with its joyous atmosphere and lavish decorations, symbolizes the obliviousness of the upper class, while the somber Scott home represents the harsh realities of the working class. Similarly, the hat Laura wears to the party symbolizes her initial adherence to societal norms, while her decision to remove it during her visit to the Scots signifies her awakening to the social disparities around her. In conclusion, Mansfield's garden party is not just a story, but a lesson on social disparity, maturity, and the transient nature of life. The story leaves us with a profound understanding of the transient nature of life. The garden party is a rich tapestry of emotions, themes, and symbolism. We've journeyed through the story, closely examining each detail, and it's now time to pull together all the threads to form a complete picture. In this narrative by Katherine Mansfield, we have navigated the dichotomy of life and death, the stark contrast between the opulence of the Sheridan's garden party and the gloomy setting of the Scots' dwelling. We've seen the world through the innocent and privileged eyes of Laura and experienced her awakening to the harsh realities of class disparity and death. Our analysis has revealed the symbolism embedded within the story. The hat representing societal expectations, the garden party symbolizing the ignorance of the upper class, and the journey Laura undertakes, signifying her transition from innocence to awareness. We've dissected the themes of class consciousness, mortality, and the juxtaposition of beauty and tragedy, all of which resonate through the pages of the story. The relevance of the garden party in today's world cannot be overstated. Despite being written almost a century ago, it serves as a mirror reflecting the societal disparities that still persist. It forces us to question our own perceptions and prejudices, to explore the often uncomfortable crossroads of wealth and poverty, life and death. Mansfield's narrative is a reminder that life is a complex interplay of joy and sorrow, a dance between light and dark. It underscores the importance of empathy and understanding, of looking beyond our privileged bubbles and recognizing the shared humanity that binds us all. In conclusion, The Garden Party is not just a story, it's a critique of society, a coming-of-age tale, and a poignant exploration of life's paradoxes. It encourages us as readers to look within ourselves and question our own perspectives and biases. The Garden Party indeed is a story that makes us contemplate life, death, and the social constructs in between. As we close this analysis, we hope that the story has left you with a deeper understanding of its themes and a renewed perspective on the world around you.